Hello everyone. I was asked to show my easy wraparound binding. This is not something that I came up with. There are a ton of videos, but I don't remember what it was called, so I can't find the videos. So I thought I would do it real fast because it is really easy and pretty straightforward. It's just a wraparound binding. No sewing required. You can use it on a regular book. This is a cardboard cover that I made. You can use just about anything. And it's basically you're tying in your signatures with string, twine, yarn, whatever you have. So I have been asked a lot of questions about the candy box books. So I thought that I would go ahead and do a little tutorial on some of the books as well. So you may know that I've got the candy box, that I had made quite a few books out of candy boxes. And they're all different sizes, they're all different widths, and they're all different colors, and they're kind of fun. This is just a regular, this is one of the Swedish fish, and I've opened it up and taken the Swedish fish out and eaten them, and I'm addicted now. So you've got your box, and basically what you do is open up the other end, and they all have a seam, and the seam is usually on the skinny part, one of the skinny parts. This one is here. So you try to undo the seam without bending the cardboard of the basic part of the box, because it's really hard to do on the seam. They've glued these things very strongly, so I guess they don't come apart. So sometimes they're a little rough to get apart, but they do come apart. There we go. And then you've got the basis of your cover. So what I do is I use a rotary cutter to cut these little tabs off, but that's really hard to film. So you can use your paper cutter, your paper trimmer, or scissors, just taking those tabs off, and then what you're left with is your cover. And I just like to take just off the tabs and leave as much of the box as possible so it looks right. This one I did earlier, and I have decided that I'm going to put scrapbook paper into it. The way that I measure paper that goes into it, this is a pretty thick one. This is wide, and most of the other ones are pretty thin. So I am going to put in 4 signatures in this one. The candy box one that I did for the scavenger hunt, I put 3 signatures in, and working in that, it's a little thick. I probably should not have put that many in there, but I think 4 will be good for this, and it'll be good to show. I like to make my signature for the wraparound binding. I like to make the height about the same as the box itself, mainly because the signature, the pages are not sewn in, so there is a little bit of movement, and sometimes the twine will start ripping the page at the top and the bottom, where it kind of digs in a little bit if it moves around too much. So if you keep it about the same height, there's not as much room for movement, and your pages stay a little stronger. So I try to stay pretty close. For the width of your page, you want to measure, and like I said, all of them are different sizes, so I can't give measurements, exact measurements. You're just going to have to measure what you have and what you want to use. I measure the width and double that, and maybe take a little bit more off This one I didn't. I kind of just left it the same width and doubled it. So then you've got your page. Of course, you fold your page in half, and then you put, I put five pages in each signature. You put them together with the folds any way you want, and then you've got your signature. So I've got 4 signatures for this one. This is not the first time that I have filmed this video. I have a new camera, and it's given me a little bit of trouble. It kept turning off in the middle of showing you what was going on. So in doing this, I noticed that the cardboard of these boxes is not real strong, and it was kind of indenting on the top and the bottom where the string was rubbing it. So I went ahead this time and took from another box this strip right here and glued it in the center just to reinforce that spine a little bit so that I can work in the book and not worry that the page is going to, or the binding, the spine is going to rip. So that's all that is just, I just glued a strip of the box in there just to strengthen that spine. So this is the cover, and I talked about the signatures. You can make your pages anything you want. The scavenger hunt book that I made out of the cookie dough was a junk journal, so I used book pages and magazine pages and envelopes and all kinds of garbage. You can do that. You can use just regular paper, you can use cardstock, scrapbook paper, book pages, whatever you want, however you want to do it. So I am using, for my binding, embroidery floss this time. Embroidery floss comes in many different colors, and these books are really not that heavy, and they're not, they don't need a really strong binding, so embroidery floss is pretty good. You can use, if you're doing a bigger book, you can use twine, string, yarn. I do use crochet thread sometimes. Anything you have probably will work. So, like I said, I've already done this like 3 or 4 times, so I have a piece of embroidery floss all measured out that I would like to use up. And this is the way you measure your twine or string or yarn or embroidery floss, whatever you're using. You need to have a tail so that at the end you have something to tie with. So make it long enough so that you can do something with it. And then, since I have 4 signatures, you want to wrap around like this once for every signature that you use. If you're only using 3 signatures, you only need to wrap it around 3 times. So I am using 4 signatures, so I am going to wrap around, that's once, twice, 3 times, and 4 times, and then you leave yourself a tail that's not knotted, a tail at the other side so that you can tie it off at the end. So that's the way you measure it, 1 wrap around for each signature that you put in. So now that that's done, we will tie in our string. So like I said, we leave a tail so that we can tie it off at the end. Start at the top and start going from the inside to the outside. So you want to wrap it around once, twice, 3 times, and this is the 4th time. Now you want to make sure that you're not overlapping your threads and that they're fairly tight. So, I mean, they're not tight, but they're tight enough so that you can get the pages underneath there, but they're not too loose that your pages are going to sag. You don't want it so tight that your cover is bending. You want it just firm but not bending, basically. So I have it wrapped around 4 times for my 4 signatures. You can see it on the other side as well. And here's the only tricky part. Let's see if I can do it without, so that we can see. So here's my thread, my end on one side where I started, and here's my thread on the bottom side where I ended. So what I want to do is cross those, can you see what I'm doing? Cross the threads, kind of like when you wrap a package, so that you've got a little cross there. I'm making that too tight. And then you want to take one of the ends and slide it under all the threads so that they're all grouped together. Make sure you keep everything tight, and then all you have to do is, you can make a bow tie if you really don't know if that's what you want, or you can make a knot. I like a knot because then I know it's not going to come undone when I'm working on the book. So I'm just going to make a simple knot, and one more time. And that is that. So I've got these ends that I could put embellishments on, some beads, some anything, some little baubles, or you can just leave it plain, whatever you want to do. And then on the inside, you've got your 4 strings. You want to make sure that they're not crossing over each other and they're kind of spaced out well enough. So then you have your signatures, and you get to start putting the signatures in. Now all that is needed to be done is open up your signature, go for the one of the end strings, and just slide your pages under the string, slide it in, and that's all there is to it. When you put in your second signature, you want it to work against the one that you already did so that you're not getting caught up in the pages that you've already put in. So here's my second string. I'm going to put the pages underneath that one. Slide those in. And there they are. The third one, the next string over, slide them underneath. It's okay that they get tight because that's what's supposed to happen. They're supposed to get a little tighter so that your pages aren't flopping around. You want them in there fairly securely so that you can work on it and not get caught up with the next thread over. So there's the next one. And then the last one. Come on. All right. So there you have it. And then what you want to do is kind of space out. They move around. And space them out the way you want on the top and the bottom. This one's kind of gotten to the side here. Okay, so kind of space them evenly, however you want. So there you go. That's an easy way to make a book. Now the reason I like doing this kind of a binding is I can take pages out, I can take the whole signature out, work on it, put it back. I can work in the book. If I don't like something, if I don't like the way one of the pages is looking, I can take that page out, put a different page back in. I can also add pages if I don't have enough. Say I wanted to add this little thing. I mean, I can just slide that in, and I can move that up and down wherever I want it. and it's on the other side here somewhere. Here it is. So I can add pages, I can take pages away. It gives you a lot of options, and I do like having options. So this is one of the basic candy box books. Hope that was understandable, and thanks for watching.